Khoi. Geseënde dag vir almal, vir die lieflike Sondag, vir almal die Aboriginals. Geseënde Sondag en vir, ja, geseënde Sondag. Ek sit nou hier en dink, hierdie mense het net gelieg en gelieg en gelieg. They lied. And they made up stories. And they just put it in books and just made us believe it. So today I went to our cemetery, our burial sites. And this burial site was registered. Luckily, the Aboriginals of the area realized that these beasts would build on our grave sites. That is what these beasts would do. And so we have to secure this piece of land. So there was 105 families, Aboriginal families. I think there was only 100 Aboriginal families. I don't know about the extra 5 that came about. It could be that the people were already in our area living there. And so these 105 families came together and they bought the land that is now our burial site, because, like I said, they realized that that land must be secured with record and registration, and there was always people who was the priest or the imam. He would always keep up with records. But if you look around Constantia, the village that I'm from, you would never say that this is Aboriginal land. These were, and it's only been recent. It's only been since the Group Areas Act of the 1960s. If my memory serves me right, then it was in 1964 that they came into Constantia. It was in that time period, and forced the Aboriginal people out of the lands and put us on the Cape Flats. And then gave us complete different identities. As a matter of fact, they stole our identity first, because we are called the Afrikaners. Eventually, when we started learning the language and the dialect, and we made up a language, which is Afrikaans, excuse me, to talk to everybody. Afrikaans was the language we came up with. All of a sudden, my throat. Sorry, guys. Yeah. So they made up complete. They first took our name, Afrikaner, when we eventually they wanted something that we could call ourselves. And we made up this language called Afrikaans. Because by then, our ancestor, Khoi, had been to the UK, lived there for a whole year. They had kidnapped him. And he had learned English. And it was his way to negotiate his way back home. So they brought him back home, and they wanted him to be the middleman or the point man for them. The next one who went over was to the Java Islands. Was Haridi Strandloper. He went over to the Java Islands and he learned to speak Javanese, whatever that language is. And he brought that home. So the reason why there's a mixture of English and Javanese and all these other influences is because our people went over and learned the language. And then when they came back, they incorporated it into our languages, these different languages, English, Java, Portuguese. It's just a mixture of languages, Afrikaans. And we made up a language, and when we identified ourselves as Afrikaner, which was the first one, was Ouderam Afrikaner. He was from the Cape. And he and his eldest son was the first to be jailed on Robben Island, Aboriginal Khoisan man, or Khoi, or Horikokwa, or Hrikwa, or Honokwa. Those were the names. We were a big tribe. We were big. You come to Southern Africa, this is paradise. They left, and this is what they made us believe. They made us believe that my ancestry is somewhere in Europe by giving me this false identity of colored in the Netherlands or somewhere. And some people believe this, and they actually travel. They leave Southern Africa because they want to find their roots. Because these people are telling them they are Indian, or they are from the Netherlands, or I don't know, all these different places. They want us to leave. They tell us, oh, but the Netherlands is so nice and great. They want us to leave so that they can come into paradise, because the beasts were expelled from paradise. The beasts were expelled from paradise, and to make their way in, they sold us a lie. And so we give up our place for them. And so we travel, we go study in China, and we have this exchange program with Europe, and our kids are leaving. But when they are there, they realize, but oh my God, I left paradise and now I can't come back. And while you left, somebody else has now taken your place. They sold you a lie, this colored identity of the Cape Khoi. It's not just the Cape Khoi. It's not just the Aboriginal of the Cape. It's the Aboriginal. Somebody said to me, it is Namakwa. And she claims Namakwa as from Windhoek to Cape Town's Namakwa land. I said, that resonates. There's Namakwa land. And we have all the seasons in Namakwa land. We have, if you want to be coastal, Mediterranean, you come to Cape Town. It's Mediterranean here. Yeah? If you want desert, you can go into the Kalahari. We have deserts for you. We can go into Windhoek. If you want snow, you can go into Ceres Mountains. There you can stand with your feet in the snow and your top off, because it is Ceres' sunshine. And when the sun melts the snow, we have good sun. This is heaven. You can pick and choose. We have all there. And so this is paradise, and they made us believe that this paradise is theirs by selling us this false identity of colored or pastor in Namibia, or gosh, we understand this. The Namibia is quite. And then another thing that they did is they broke us apart. They put a border. And now it's South Africa and Namibia. There was no border. Namibia is only 35 years old. So Witbooi and the Afrikaners, those of us who called ourselves Afrikaners, we did not want to be in the Cape, and we moved towards inland because we understood there's family that side, there's more Khoi. Every time we moved, they first wait for us to move, and then they move. Because they do not know where to move. They must follow the Khoi. And so they followed us into Cape Town, and they followed us into the Karoo, and they followed us over the Drakensberg, and they followed us into Springbok, and they followed us right over the border into Keetmans and Karrisburg, and right into Windhoek they followed us. Namakwa. And then you get the sand, which is further Botswana, further north. They even made you believe that the north is not your north. selling you a false identity. Because beasts do not care. And so it's time for us as the Aboriginals, the Khoi. I can take my history so far. I can take my knowledge of plant medicine so far. And I speak to those who say that they are native and they do not recognize the Aboriginal plants. And then I think to myself, but then you cannot be Aboriginal. We have special medicines here. It's not about a clove or a stick cinnamon or a... We take from the roots, we take from the leaves, we take out of the mountains. We can tell you just about everything about every plant and what is... And there's a lot of medicinal plants here. What you are talking about is not Aboriginal here in Southern Africa. So why don't you recognize it if you say that you are from this place? So yeah, it is time for us to wake up. Aboriginal child, Southern Africa, Bushman, whatnot, colored. Oh, if you still call yourself that, bastard. Die Aboriginals, die oorspronklike mense van die land wat die taal praat, wat verstaan as ek sê, Khoisan, of as ek sê ore, of as ek sê amase, of as my tong klap. Khoisan. Yeah. Peace and love, everybody, and happy Sunday. Thank you for tuning in. If you like what you hear on the channel, please don't forget to subscribe and share the video. Do not let these people fool you. Don't let China fool you out of your land. They want in here. Don't let them fool you and tell you nonsense, and you can go for exchange programs in China and they're going to give you this and they... No, 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 no. This is heaven. This is heaven. They want in your heaven. Don't give your heaven up. Not to the beasts who build their mansions on the graves of our ancestors. No, sir. We don't do that. Not here. Not in Aboriginal land. I says. Alles wat mooi is. Alles wat mooi is.